Hi, welcome to episode 10 of the Mini Cow Show.
Is it really 10?
Yes.
Oh,
Episode 9 was last week, I think, or it might be wrong. This might be episode 9. I
okay.
can't know. You know this. We worked out together. Once I'm past 8, they're all the same number.
Okay.
Okay. It's like all a lot after 8.
Yeah, after 8, it's just plenty. And like after like 20, it's a plethora. And after like 30, it's
So,
I want
About my bands.
fire, food. Oh, bands. We can start with Dallas's bands.
okay.
Okay. So I got my pretty colorful bands in today. I got the 3 versions. So the reason for having those is because of my new style of training, based off of Westside Barbell, Louis Simmons training protocols, philosophies, whatever. So it's basically just like incorporating accommodating resistance into your major lifts.
Explain what accommodating resistance is.
So how I understand it, this may not be the textbook definition, is it's resistance that changes throughout the progression of the movement. So like on a squat, with bands on a squat, for example, the resistance is the highest at the top. So you have the max weight of the bands and the weight that's on the bar at the top. But at the bottom, that weight decreases by some amount. And so at the bottom, the squat is technically less weight than when you come back up to the top. So with bands specifically, that increases the speed, so to speak, on the way down because it's literally pulling you down. And then on the way back up, it slows your ability. It like slows you down. So you're working on your force velocity curve. So the slower you're moving, the higher amount of force you can produce. So that's generally what that's talking about.
How is would chains also be considered accommodating resistance?
Yeah. Chains do basically the same thing. It's just not as linear as a band. Like, because a band is dictated by elastic properties. I think it's like Hooke's law, or like talking about plastic and elastic deformation, dealing with like rubber bands. That's how the bands literally work. And then with chains, it's not the same because you're doing the same thing effectively, but you're doing it by links coming up off the ground or going down on the ground. So you're losing an amount of weight with each link that's touching the ground or coming up off the ground, but it's not the same. It's like segmented. It would like if you looked at it as a graph, it would like jump with each chain that came up or came down. Whereas with the band, it's literally just like a straight line or like a non-jagged line. So science.
Cool. So Dallas is doing a version of Westside Principles, and if you don't know what Westside is,
Should look that up. They're pretty cool.
it's different. It's difficult to do at certain gyms. I feel like at ours, it's not too bad because
Well, when I have all the space I would need, really, I do think it would be easier if we had multiple setups. Like if we had more than just the 2 squat racks, which you can see in the back. If we had like 4 or 5, so that way I could have all of my weights set up for everything I was going to do already. I could just jump from thing to thing to thing. But short of that, like it's probably the optimal setup.
which hopefully we'll get to use again at some point.
Yes, true.
All right, what's our topic for today? Are we going to talk about the situation at all? At least acknowledge it?
Yeah. We can acknowledge how it's impacted our workouts from home and nutrition. Because like finding food / healthy food right now It was really bad. Like, I went to Bilo to grab a 6-pack of Cliff Bars because I was like, I'm a snack on these because I eat when I'm bored, and I realized that. So I was like, I can't like stay at home / I can't go out. So I was just like, I'm gonna go out and go find like a healthy snack. So if I'm gonna chew on something, at least it's not gonna be like cookies or chips.
So what did you get?
I was gonna go get some Cliff Bars, but for a 6-pack it was $9. So I was like, I'm gonna put this right back.
Isn't that normally what it is?
It's like $6 normally.
Oh, they marked it up already?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's obnoxious.
It is.
I mean,
Were you at Walmart?
Bilo.
Huh.
my issue has been, and I don't understand it, like, well, I guess I do, but like all the stuff that I would normally eat, like the meat and like the turkey specifically,
Mhm.
that is gone, just all gone. Like that section of it's just empty. And I don't want to add to the cacophony of what is already so many pictures of empty shells because that's annoying, but that's what it be.
Yeah, I
Idiot.
had to get ground meat. I got ground turkey and ground beef because
That's normally what I get, but that wasn't there.
I was at Aldi. All the
Oh.
chicken breast was gone at Aldi.
Oh, I got an email. Hopefully it's from Lauren. It is.
All right, read it aloud.
She said, "You submitted it, and I just had to finish grading it!" Exclamation point. I don't know if I can share a screen. I don't know how to do that. I mean, I asked because I had an assignment that I had to do for the class, which was due tomorrow, and I just did it today. That's what I was doing before this. And I submitted the quiz, and I didn't see, like, I didn't see where I had submitted it, so I was just making sure that she got it. She did, so. Ta-da.
I feel bad for the professors who are having to homeschool their kids at the same time.
Yeah, actually, that sounds terrible.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, though, it's kind of been business as usual.
I mean, the only thing that I don't know as of right now is when something is going to open up so I can take my CSCS. But other than that, I'm completely unaffected. Like, as far as my working ability is going.
I think that it's a really good opportunity for us to do more stuff like this and figure out different modes by which we can live stream videos and stuff like that.
I think that's something we can talk about is that and I don't know, like, I haven't fully thought about this, so I'm just going to say it, and it might come off the wrong way. I don't care. It's annoying to me that we've gotten the most interaction or the most people, like, caring when this is the only, like, they're literally forced into it, basically. So it's like, oh, now we're going to come and work out or, interact or whatever. Like, y'all had this time before. Like, yeah, you weren't in school necessarily, but you still have to do your classwork, so it's not like that disappeared. It just changed forms. So I don't know. People are annoying, man. That's all I have to say.
And I feel like, and this might be a little bit more introvert specific, but everybody has their limit of consumption and like stimuli for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me?
I'm completely with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're using that all up on like being in a specific place, which in and of itself may be a stressful experience, right? And or like consuming on social media constantly, or like going to the library, like being in, other forms of being in public, going out to dinner and whatever else you normally do,
Hmm.
and now you can't do any of that, then even though they still have the same number of hours in the day, they're not like having that external stimuli constantly. So there may be a little bit more capacity to engage with us in that way.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Maybe it's just less intimidating because they don't have to leave their living rooms and like go to a place.
Which seems fair. I guess part of my kerfufflement, LOL, is that I guess I'm surprised that this medium is working as well as it is. Because I agree, I think we should use this even when this is no longer an issue. Granted, that happens, but like granted, by the end of the semester, people can come back to the rec center. I think we should keep this as something we do, which is something I would have never thought.
Because, so from my perspective, I keep being told, meet the students where they're at, meet the students where they're at. So what do? We do classes at the George, we do classes at the dorms, we do classes at the library. Nobody goes still.
Yeah.
So I think this is a better interpretation of meeting people where they're at, because ultimately our goal is for them to be healthier and move, and whatever we have to do in order to achieve that, I think is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Even if it's not necessarily quite the same. I definitely appreciate like the face-to-face. So from my perspective, it may be more difficult for me to develop those relationships with them if it's just like a one-way thing, as opposed to something like this where I can see you guys still.
Uh-huh.
And maybe there's a way to do that that I'm just not privy to right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll figure that out in the coming weeks.
Yep.
So, Andres, let's hear you. What is your weigh in on this?
As the extrovert of the group, I'm dying. So like I normally go out whenever I'm bored at home, and like the ability to go out like distance me from home, because at home I just view it as a place of sleep and zero productivity. But now it's like I'm gonna go to a coffee shop. They're like, can't stay
Yeah.
here. I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A for a nice meal to sit down and like people watch. They're like, don't sit here. You know, like, all right, I'm gonna
Things
leave.
Sarah's never said. Go to Chick-fil-A for a nice meal and sit down.
Yeah, sitting down and eating somewhere. That's not like an actual restaurant, LOL.
Right.
I mean, even as I would say I'm fairly introverted. Hold on, I can find it exactly what my level of introversion is.
Oh no.
But even as someone who is, I mean, self-proclaimed, like, I would say I'm fairly introverted. This is still like, I wish I could go out a little bit more. Like, it's not even that I wish I could go out more, it's that I wish I didn't have to fear death as much or more than I normally would going out as much as I would want to. So I just think, I mean, it's just annoying. That's what I would say. I'm just annoyed by it.
It's good for the environment.
Apparently it is, which is good. Okay, my extroversion is, quote, moderately low. So there you go.
Okay.
And my introversion is moderately high.
I still feel like I'm getting my people quota because I'm like constantly talking to the staff, and obviously Vance is here and the dogs are here. We're still like walking the dogs, and we're going outside. We're just not going into establishments, I guess. Oh, you died. Oh.
Do you see this?
Yes.
That is my extroversion right there. Moderately low. This is a cool website for anyone that wants to know about themselves. It's called Understand Myself. It's based off the Big 5 personality traits. These. Okay.
Is it understandmyself.com or is it?
It's understandingmyself.com. Yep. It's a good resource, in my opinion.
My hands look huge.
Yeah, they look huge, like this close to the camera. Like, oh wow.
All right. Cool. So I would also like to start writing more articles like the potty mouths and turning that into a blog.
I think people hate blogs unless you specifically seek one out, such as like Tumblr or something like that. But like for me personally, I would never go and actively find a blog ever.
I'm thinking more of just adding another medium, like Andres was saying with the website. Medium? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah. So then we can have the potty mouth, and then we can have these where we talk about the same topic, and then we have the written article. So it's just like everything's bouncing off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
You can consume it in whatever way you choose to.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better, like, again, this kind of points to the fact that some people, like, people consume things in ways that we didn't expect necessarily. So I think if we really cast the net as wide as possible, like wider than we think is necessary, then we're going to catch like more people than we have been.
All right, let's talk about something.
Okay, so we talked about the situation lately. Oh wait, I can do this. Will be funny.
Okay.
So.
Oh! Did you guys ever play that online Pictionary game? What was it called? Inklink.
I'm only gonna talk via drawings now.
Oh boy.
All right.
Okay, I'm kidding. I don't know okay, so we talked about the situation to some degree. I don't know if the fact that people are doing these home exercises is a product of them now being marketed to or being directed to them in a way which they're comfortable in consuming, or if it's just a product of boredom, or if it's a combination thereof. So,
okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I would add in the fact that a lot of companies have started to make some of their services for free. So Peloton is one of them. Adobe has made their products free for the next 2 months. And then there's a bunch of like the pseudo gurus that sell their courses have started making those free online as well. So there's now a large like plethora of courses being distributed out for free. And now with all this free
time. Planet Fitness also has free streaming videos. I think Beachbody does too. But here's a good question that we can discuss more in depth. Say you've been doing some strength training. If you stop, aka if you cannot go to the gym and use your barbells and you have to do these at-home workouts,
which is kind of tragic, not gonna lie,
will your muscle, get ready, turn to fat?
Oh, don't say that.
Well, the short answer is no, because that doesn't happen. But I guess answering the deeper, more implicit question of Like, will I lose all my gains? It depends. So, I mean, your body responds to stimuli, and it responds to stimuli by like adapting. So adapting, an example of an adaptation would be bigger biceps if you do a million curls. So if you stop doing those curls, then you stop applying that stimulus. So then you start to lose that adaptation. So I mean that's like broad, but that applies to everything. So if you just completely stop doing anything, then you're going to lose progress in some respect.
Mm-hmm.
How fast? It kind of depends on a lot of factors. One being your level of training. So if you've been training for a month, you're probably going to lose that entire month of progress in this upcoming month if you do nothing. So if you've been training for multiple years, you can probably go a week without doing anything and you'll be completely fine. Nothing. It's like nothing will ever happen. But regardless, you should do something.
Say that one more time.
If you are a highly trained individual, you can go a week and not lose anything. A week without any stimulus and not lose any of your progress. If anything, it'll probably help you, given how broken you probably are. So, yeah, it just depends. That's kind of the problem with exercise science and physiology and all that, is that it's very complicated and it's not black and white basically ever. So the best strategy is to do something. So if you can't do anything outside, then do something inside. What that is, there's plenty of resources available, but do something. That would be important.
So, you know how when you're a beginner, you make your gains, whatever they may be, strength, cardio, pretty quickly, because basically doing anything is going to be enough stimulus in order for you to improve.
Yep.
And then at a certain point, that level of improvement sort of levels off. And you are working really, really hard for that 2-pound increase or that split-second decrease in your running time. If you stop training, your cardio adaptations will be the first to go. And those can actually happen within a few days, especially if you're highly trained. They happen more quickly because your body is accustomed to that higher stimulus constantly, and cardiovascular adaptations are highly enzymatic in basis. So it's easier for your enzymes to adapt to whatever you're doing. Strength is a little bit slower to lose, and the first thing you'll lose is not muscle, but it is the central nervous system adaptations. So your brain basically stops communicating with your muscles as well. And then if the detraining persists, then you will start to lose some muscle size. But you can attenuate that even if you're not doing the same type of strength training. If you're at least doing stuff that's challenging and you're putting in a lot of effort, you'll definitely attenuate that, even if it's not exactly the same type of training that you were doing before. Even if you did get to that point, so for the first 4 weeks or so in a recreationally trained person, you're going to be losing those CNS adaptations, and then beyond that, you're going to be losing more muscle, and that muscle does not turn to fat. Yes, you may be a higher percentage of fat in relation to your body composition, but the muscle doesn't turn to fat. You just get small, basically. Unless you're eating crazy and you do gain fat, then that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah, those, like, so the complicated bit of this comes in where your muscle can be converted into other things, only, like, namely into a source of carbohydrates but that's it. So those things can be interchangeable because they're, I guess no more similar than fat because they're all carbon and hydrogen basically. But your muscle, it can't be turned into fat because of the structure, the structure of fat. I'm sure that's in it. There's an advanced biochemist out there scoffing, but it's things typically don't like move into each other. So like what I just said, your protein gets turned into carbohydrates, like kinda. So you break down the muscle and you reappropriate those molecules to create a glucose molecule, which, that's glucose is a pretty simple molecule, whereas fat is not a simple molecule. So you reduce the complexity when you break a thing down. You don't just transition the complexity. It always has to go down. So that's why that can happen. But just based off of that, like your protein can't turn into fat, your fat can't turn into protein. And, that's like saying, oh, well, if you break a bone, the bone that you broke, like those pieces turned into something else. It's like your body got rid of them. That's what happens. So in the similar vein, if your body sees or has the need for reducing your skeletal muscle, it will do it. And if you don't give it a reason to keep it, it's going to do it. So that's basically what we're saying here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how long we've been recording for, but I believe we only have a 40-minute time frame. So why don't we say one more thing and then wrap it up?
Mm-hmm.
We are running out of time. Oh, I see. What's one more thing?
Should you feel sore after your workouts?
Potentially. I'm like, again, it's hard to say because like soreness isn't an indicator of quality of work. So like
not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. So you can be sore or not and still have an effective workout after, like having done an effective workout to get that way. To get a little bit in the weeds of it, if you do largely eccentric work, so like if you're doing a bicep curl, this is concentric, going back down is the eccentric. If you do largely eccentric work, that's been shown to produce more muscle damage and elicit more soreness after the fact. So if you've just done like a crazy amount of eccentrics, then you probably will be sore no matter what. Whereas if you don't, then you probably won't. So like, but that doesn't attest to quality of work in any way.
And sometimes more volume of training can make people sore to a point, depending on your makeup.
Your makeup, like your eyeliner and your foundation.
More like depending on your percentage of type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, I was thinking, but that too. Just because, for example, me, I am the most sore in the 6 to 10 rep range. Because it's still like a sort of decent amount of exercise volume, but it's also still like really heavy. But when I get into classes like bar and Pilates where you're doing hundreds of repetitions, it will burn in the moment, but the next day I'm not sore.
I did yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I had to do my crazy amount of good mornings, like 10,000 pounds worth of volume of good mornings, and I'm not as sore as I've been doing other things for less amount of reps and less weight. So
you must have a strong posterior chain.
Perhaps. I don't know. Here's a question to Andres. After you did your deadlifting bonanza for 2 hours, were you sore after that?
Kinda. Yeah, I felt it in the it's not hamstrings, is it? The posterior part of the leg. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's the hamstring.
above your knee, back of your leg.
Yeah, that's where I felt it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good.
Yeah.
Must have
Were
done
you-
something right.
Were you very sore or just kind of sore?
It was kind of sore. Like I could still operate like normal, but I couldn't
Okay.
run.
Are
That's
you
good.
running a lot now?
Ooh, no.
Everyone is. When I came back, when I was came downtown yesterday, like just coming back to my parents' house, I saw so many people running, like
Hmm.
at least 30 to 40 people just out running.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Those are probably the extroverts. They're just dying.
Yes, we are. Ah.
All right. Well, let's call it there, and maybe these people can tell us what they want us to talk about next.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly.
Hopefully, this isn't the first podcast that you've listened to. That's all I can say.
Yeah, because this is a new format for us, so a little jarring. I think we could do it like this again if we have a better plan and we could use the resources like screen sharing or something like that. I feel like that could be a good tool.
Yeah, because I mean, the reason that we completely stopped doing the podcast last time was because we were not physically in the same place.
Yeah, so this would ameliorate that as an
Mhm.
issue.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, tomorrow morning, my class this morning at 9:30 a.m. lower body sculpt was really good. It's posted to our story currently. So you guys can check that out for an at-home workout. And then tomorrow, Hannah's doing a core class at 9 a.m. and you can sign up for that on the USC Upstate Spartan Rec app. And then on Monday, Ashley's going to be doing a total body class as well. So we're definitely trying to still give you that same sort of Spartan experience. We may be posting to YouTube some recorded videos as well. So we just don't know what we're doing yet. So just keep in contact with us and let us know what you want to see going forward.
Or don't.
Or don't.
And then we'll just do whatever we want.
Yep.